Michael, and today we are back with some more Hoka action. And we got young Gretchen back in the house, in which you may find her engaging in the Millie Rock upon any block. Now Hoka has been hit or miss for me, but as of late, they've been holding up to the standard. Now the last time I actually ran in a Challenger was the very first model, so it's been a while. I almost got last year's version, but it just ran a little too narrow for me. So when I saw that they were giving a wide option, I said, well, why not? So here we are. This is our review of the Hoka Challenger ATR 5. So the upper comes with a dual layer mesh that we found both smooth and rugged. Luckily, it was smooth on foot and more rugged on the outer layer. For that reason, it really gave us that feeling of sturdiness. Scraping against trail, rocks, sticks wasn't much of an issue. The upper in itself was pretty stiff. There's almost no stretch in the upper, so it kind of fits the way it fits. I was able to try on both the standard sizing and the wide option. The standard fit was the exact same as last year's shoe. For me, just a bit too narrow, and so I tried the wide, and I think that was exactly what I was needing. My toes had that extra space to breathe. Now Gretchen has a fairly narrow foot, so the standard women's width for her was great. The overall fit of the shoe was similar to that of the fit of the newer Clifton series. The heel of the shoe is a bit narrow, and although it felt secure, I had a bit of a rubbing issue for my first couple of runs. I had to hit them with my longer stance socks, and that made things better, but even then, I don't want to have to wear longer socks just to run in these. Anyway, let me add one more thing. Hokas are by no means good to look at, but this one looks fairly sleek. I mean by Hoka standards. I like it. Now the midsole uses what Hoka calls their compression molded EVA. What's so fancy about that? Nothing really. It's just a bunch of EVA foam. But I will admit, it feels good, and that's all that really matters. I found it to be one of the most cushioned trail shoes that I've tried in a while, and the ride wasn't too sloppy. It wasn't quite as soft as the Clifton, but it had a nice cushion yet firmness to it. For off-road, I think it felt great. Being able to transition your feet and run like an agile trail boss was something that Gretchen was able to do. Not me though. I got level 0 trail skills, but hey, nobody's perfect. Now this shoe does not have a dedicated rock plate, which is probably why the shoe has a bit of a softer ride to it. Impact protection wise, I didn't really notice any issues while on the trails. Given, I suppose that Hokas have such a higher stack height, maybe it doesn't really need it. But I'm also not that into longer trail runs. After about a half marathon on a trail, I'm about trailed out. But given this is also more of an all-terrain shoe and not a dedicated trail shoe. Now I do want to mention that the meta rocker in this shoe was definitely noticeable. And this rolling forward sensation is a prominent thing in most Hoka shoes. Now we didn't hate it, we didn't love it, we just felt it. And depending on how technical the trail is, you could probably do without it. Now the outsole of the shoe is kind of where the shoe is hit or miss. On one hand, the shoe is called the Challenger ATR, meaning it's meant for all terrains. So to that standard, we think the tread and the lugs in the shoe worked wonderfully. While on lighter trails, it held up great. But the minute I tried to go to a more, in quotes, real trail, the lugs weren't really gripping that much for me. Now shoes like the Speed Goat at least has that nice sticky Vibram outsole, but not the Challenger. Just some minimal rubber lugs and some exposed midsole. So it is what it is. Overall, I think the shoe is well put together. The small things like the fit, the lacing, the ride of the shoe did what I was expecting it to do. I do wish the upper around the toe box had just a bit more stretch. Not for the extra toe space, but just for that less restrictive feeling. Like the upper has hardly any stretch to it. But I guess the shoe is meant to lock you down, in which it does. The heel cut, while stable, just kept giving me that rubbing issue. For an every once in a while trail runner like myself, this shoe is simply a good cushion option that doesn't feel as heavy as it looks. And if you're really going back and forth between some road and some trails, then this will work. But there are definitely more adequate options out there if you're more into trails. In all, Gretchen and I were pleased with what we got out of the shoe. So when it comes to the Hoka Challenger ATR 5, we do approve.
Impressive.
Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. I'm up all night making these videos look pretty, so I'd appreciate it. You can also follow us on social media if you like. Be sure to give this video a like or dislike, and as always, stay in school, don't do drugs, and keep it tight. Alright Gretchen, we just finished up.
Yep.
Tell the people to subscribe and like and all that nonsense.
I think you're forgetting something.
No, just subscribe and like.
No, you're definitely forgetting something. Thank you.
Thanks. Alright.
Where's the other one? I did 2 videos for you.
Hold on.
Thank you. Much better.